Okay, I started the recording and I wanted to thank everyone for joining today. I really appreciate you tuning in. And without further ado, I wanted to share my screen with you and start our talk. For those that are going to be listening later, you'll always be able to ask the questions through the email and so forth. So yes, again, thanks a lot for joining us today, And I wanted to talk about functional solutions for Crohn's, colitis, and digestive diseases. I'm Ina, I'm a doctor of pharmacy, and I wanted to concentrate on a client that has been suffering for a while. It's probably not a new client that's just got diagnosed and wants to get all the information from the doctor, and that is the first step. That's where you want to go. Medical doctor, of course, gastroenterologist, preferably board certified. But my client is usually the client that's sick and tired of feeling tired from the disease, Crohn's, colitis, digestive, IBD, IBS, reflux. And it's annoying, it's painful, fevers and diarrhea, the pain, abdominal pain, fatigue. I mean, how much can you really handle it if it's a constant thing? If you're a proactive type, you want to solve it. You don't want to fight it per se, but you want to solve it. So, and also being a parent to maybe young kids and suffering could be super tough. You want to try your best to be a good parent, and you're constantly feeling so tired to be able to do that type of work. So I would like to also, we have someone that's joined, just got unmuted, so I'll check again. So again, and being able to work, I really, with this type of condition, it's very hard. Besides going to the bathroom, it's the fatigue and pain and all these things associated. So again, my typical client, for example, is a 34. I'm gonna ask, one of you is I'm unmuted. I'm gonna ask if you could mute for now. Your maybe your phone, maybe you're on the phone that's unmuted. If you could do that, please. So a typical client, 31-year-old Crohn's patient, she's sick and tired of her symptoms, and she's becoming a person that she can't recognize herself. She lost her optimism, and she was the type positive person, type of a girl that skipping during school trips and morning walks. And she became depressed and upset, and this is no way to live. And of course, if you've been having these symptoms, it's something you want to resolve. And she feels like she lost her grounds, her sanity, her career. She can't do the work, and the love with the lifestyle and the husband. She's embarrassed. She has the urges to go to the bathroom, and the sex life is not the same. So she's way too young, and typical. This is the typical client that you would see with Crohn's disease, that can't. It's not just the symptoms physically. It's a lot of emotional. It's a lot of psychological, and really could get depressing. My personal story with Crohn's basically is that's how I found functional medicine. I had a stressful job, had two young kids, one young kid when I was misdiagnosed with ulcerative colitis first. And when I had my second kid, that's when they diagnosed me finally with Crohn's, and it was moderate to severe Crohn's. I was in ICU for a year in and out, and that was no way to live. And I took medications. I was a good patient, and the medications did not get me to remission for a long time. And then I felt like I wasn't improving, and I was taking a high dose at that time of 6-MP. I felt so weak from the medicine. I just was sitting, I remember, with my kid at the park, and I could not get up. At that, I remember that moment when I decided to take another step to maybe another direction. So I've done a lot of alternative and complementary options. I've tried acupuncture, I've tried breathing, yoga, massages, therapies. I've traveled to see John of God in Brazil, and that was an interesting, amazing trip for spiritual healing in that casa. I tried Buteyko methods for breathing. It's really a great thing. It's something everyone should try. And I was feeling better little by little, and until I found functional medicine, and that was kind of my last point where it made a big difference. When I finally was able to balance my hormones and I was improving in big leaps, I felt that I needed to share. So the learning objectives for today's short talk, because it's not going to be long, I'm going to talk for another probably 20 minutes or less, is to learn about functional options with functional medicine for Crohn's, colitis, and digestive problems, and to learn options that can decrease inflammation, and inflammation in general too, with the help of functional medicine, functional diagnostics, nutrition, nutraceuticals, stress reductions, and more. So again, do you feel this way? Do you feel tired, moody, depressed, just not right? Do you feel that you deserve to be feeling better? Have you been diagnosed with Crohn's, colitis, or have you been on digestive forums, Crohn's forums, blogs, and groups, and still not feeling better? I recently went on most of the Crohn's blogs and Facebook groups out there, and there is a lot of good information, but I found a lot of really scary advice from those groups. So it could be a great thing to have all this information so handy and available for us, but sometimes it could be a disadvantage, because first of all, like with this much information, you don't know where to turn, whether any of it is credible, and second of all, some of it is so not credible and could really get you sicker. So again, professional guidance, I say, is always the best route. And so you've probably felt this way, and you've tried all these things, and if nothing has worked, what else is out there? In Foundation of Gut Health, I believed I'm a big believer in having put all your efforts into your gastrointestinal balance and your gastrointestinal health, because from there everything else starts. All the problems, when patients come in and talk about their situation, I always think of that first. Even if someone, you wouldn't even realize that blood pressure, thyroid condition, hair falling out could be coming from having some kind of bug or parasite, or having leaky gut syndrome. I related, most of the cases I relate to something going on in the gut, and we have to figure it out. So the immune system is protected from outside toxins in our gut by intestinal lining that is only one cell thick. It's a tiny little layer. It's a thin layer. It's our barrier. It's very long. It could, if we stretched it, it's a surface area of a backyard, large backyard. And it's treated like a sewer. We're having all these toxins dumped in the environment. We have to deal with all these things in our foods that are additives and toxins that gut has to filter out. And when you do get sick from all these toxins, this barrier creates an overactive immune system. And in the case of Crohn's, for example, that's when the immune system overreacts and produces inflammation throughout the body, and many other immune system conditions and autoimmune conditions. So I skipped too far. Yes, right here. So back to toxicity. And toxicity could be anything, anywhere environmentally related. What about stress? Stress is toxins, is a big toxin. And stress, what could be stress? That could be physical, chemical, emotional, dietary. That causes bodily and mental tension and becomes a problem. Stressors, physical, for example, trauma, emotional, fear or worry, dietary, lots of sugar, food allergies, just simply eating wrong foods. Chemically, chemical stressors are in the environment. We have in the water, in toxins, drugs. Predestined, it's genetic, we think, family, location, those can or cannot be changed. And what can we do for stress? There's tons we can do. We could sit and complain, or we could start doing simple breathing, simple meditation, simple emotional freedom technique, EFT, Buteyko method. All these, if you actually stick with one and do it for literally a few minutes a day, like brushing your teeth. I always say brushing your teeth. Someone's highlighting something for me, right? Brushing your teeth, you do that to clean your teeth, but mentally, what do you do when you want to clear out some negative things that you thought through the day, that you got up to observe throughout the day? You also have to kind of clean that out. And today's stress is the new normal. We don't want that to happen. We really try to think that we could manage the stress somehow, but it shouldn't be the new normal. Excuse me. If we some kind of, if we make sure that we have some kind of system, like I said, for example, nightly, you're going to do meditation, or in the morning, you're going to do some kind of intentions. You can do a tiny bit of a change daily. And what can we do to, why do we need to eliminate efficiently? Our liver is our major organ. The intestines is a major organ to eliminate. And since we are exposed to toxins and the food and the water and the air, our skin, it's a lot of chemicals, heavy metals, parasites. We don't even realize that it could be associated, and later on that we could be diagnosed with the disease because of those toxicities, causing that illness. And we really have to think of it as a possible root cause when you're diagnosed. Our world today, pollution and tons of chemicals. And when you look into functional diagnostics, functional medicine, especially for chronic conditions, we have to do a smart detoxification process. Detoxification will help clear out toxins, and detoxification could be anything from natural detoxification, when you eat properly and your body starts to eliminate the toxins on its own, or something when you do it with help of nutraceuticals and it's properly done for you. A good detox program can help you clean out the liver, clean out even the organs. If you're able to eliminate, if you have enough bowel movements daily, if your liver is not congested, if your bile ducts are not congested with thickened bile. So yes, this is our option today. We could continue eating the same way, and typical Western diet can unfortunately create a disease. It's been already scientifically proven. So we have to look outside the box. We have to look where we could, what type of diet would work for you. And again, if you've been looking around and if you've been searching for Crohn's, colitis, or other digestive problems, Western diet is not the best friend. And yes, we all now know that you got to eat right, you got to take top supplements, you got to be able to detox properly, but eat what, take what, detox how. In functional medicine, we sit down with you and we look for root causes. Root causes of illness, they could be, again, back to the same toxicity metals. It could be SIBO that only now becoming more, we're getting more familiar with it. It could be, you could be out of balance with neurotransmitters. Your serotonin could be super high, and you could have potentially diarrhea because of that. And unfortunately, right away, no one's going to look at that. You also could have an issue with adrenal health. You could have a problem with hormones. You could have parasites in the gut or leaky gut, and could be an infection. So all these things would have to be looked at along, obviously, first medical doctor, first medical treatment, and then as a complementary style medicine, functional medicine can look into root causes. So what type of anti-inflammatory foods? Some clients really do take advantage of starting a elimination diet first and go on from there. But ideally, you do want to have your ideal meal is protein, veggies, or some kind of quality oil, like olive oil. That's an ideal meal where you have a large fist size protein. Your total probably for breakfast should be about 30 grams. And then you have some vegetables, for example, spinach cooked with coconut oil. So that would be an ideal meal, preferably without snacks if you have blood sugar instability. If you having a snack, it should also be not sugary. If you're having a berry, it could be with a couple of walnuts, just to make sure the sugar goes up and stays up and steadily without going up and down. Choosing between diets. What would I recommend to my typical Crohn's client? I can't automatically answer the question until I really discuss the situation. It could be anywhere between paleo, ketogenic. You want to look into fatty, the fish, fatty oils, some quality meats. You want to look into plant-based diets for short period of time. It really, I believe that this should be really individual based, but those are all the options that have been looked at and now studied for Crohn's. And it's all about perfect balance. When you do elimination diet and go back one ingredient at a time, you often realize that you might have been intolerant to a food and had no clue. So this is a really cheap way. Elimination diet is free. It's an inexpensive way to figure out that you have some kind of sensitivity. Although I often do recommend to get off gluten and dairy. Either way. So when adrenals are affected, and we could test those with the functional diagnostics, you sometimes feel tired, up and down, food cravings, sugar cravings, could be wired at night, concentration issues, and weight problems. With Crohn's, it could be losing too much weight, but not all Crohn's patients. Some are overweight and don't know how. So balancing adrenals can get you to solve your sugar cravings, can get you to solve your fatigue. You have this energy that you haven't had for a while just by fixing your hormones and fixing your adrenals. And the beautiful result for me personally was fixing my hormones. I didn't realize that periods could be not painful. For many years, I just lived like this. I had no idea. And it also could resolve the hot flashes, night sweats, depressed moods for those in menopausal age. And gut-related problems also, sometimes we don't know. It could be skin that's a symptomatic part, like eczema, dry skin, rashes, but it all could backfire from the gut. And the nausea, indigestion, bloating. You could be constantly hungry. Balancing your flora can resolve all these things if it's not very serious or long-term. Then you have to obviously figure out with your physician. So probiotic supplements, what do we take? That is very individual based, but the probiotics are strongly recommended. Which ones? That's something to figure out best after we do a stool test, because the newer PCR testing, they could show me the commensal bacteria. They could show me the bacteria that's normally present in the gut, whether you have enough of or not, or maybe you have an overgrowth, and if there is a pathogen and so forth. There are even bacteria, commensal bacteria, normally present. That's an autoimmune trigger if it's if it's overgrowing. Support. What can you do to help your body for meantime? And ideally, it has to be the right sequence. You first want to support your adrenals and your hormones. And then you have to always look into liver support, because a lot of Crohn's patients have a problem with the liver and elimination, whether it's congested or sluggish liver, we call it. And the liver is the biggest filter. We want to make sure that there's support there. And elimination, you want to make sure you go to the bathroom enough, hopefully not too much. In the Crohn's cases, we have that problem, which can be fixed when we address the inflammation. Probiotics. So we have now a lot on the market. Probiotics that have been studied for Crohn's disease, soil-based, the spores, S. boulardii. F-Franzese is something that you won't see in the market probably for a while, because it's only in the studies on mice and not on humans. But eventually, I think it's going to hit the market because it has a good potential. I personally had my paper done for my PharmD, for my Doctor of Pharmacy degree, on probiotics, the clinical effectiveness of probiotics in Crohn's and colitis, and I put a lot of time and research into probiotic research for Crohn's. One probiotic ingredient that you probably want to avoid is Estermophilus, that is associated with inflammation sometimes, or irritability. So if you are looking for a probiotic for yourself, you probably want to not have that in your blend. Functional, I'm trying to rush now. We don't have a lot of time left. In functional medicine, we know that this is an effective way because we're looking to address underlying causes, not like patching the symptom. And we want to get to the bottom of things, and we want to figure out with functional diagnostics and address the three body system: the neuroendocrine, we have the gut, and we have elimination. So my recent case study, 31-year-old patient with a demanding job, 3 kids. She came in complaining, just exhausted and moody. She does have a diagnosis of Crohn's. And from the interview, we figured that she also has unresolved diarrhea, there's vomiting, occasional fevers, that she didn't even think it was a problem. We did the Dutch test for her, the MAP test, and we figured that she has some imbalance of hormones, toxicity, gut infection of H. pylori. She discussed the situation with her doctor. I'm going to go through the case real quick because there's not much time left. And with her physician's permission, we did an herbal treatment for H. pylori for her. And she was already 25% better just from taking care of H. pylori, and she was addressing her stress. We took care of her adrenals and hormones. She was really a completely different person by the time it was a lengthy program for her, because we had her 3 steps stretched out into 5 or 6. because we found a lot of problems. But she was a different woman. Her kids made me a card. It was a beautiful thing. What other anti-inflammatory supplements are out there for gut and Crohn's and colitis? There are many, and there's something like turmeric, glutamine, boswellia, ginger, quercetin, and some of them have the blends all blended all together. I usually don't recommend it right away because you need to look at other root causes first. And again, it's a process of one step after another. You can't jump ahead because if, for example, you start detoxing first and the liver is just so sluggish and unable to filter out the toxins, you're gonna get sicker. So you do want to deflame you with adrenal support and hormonal support. And I do understand the obstacles, and I do understand that patients don't. It's hard to make a decision to really do it, to get with the program, to start taking care of it. It takes work, but it's so worth it. I can't imagine living the same way as I lived before. My functional medicine practice is here in Marlboro, New Jersey. This is the information. This is an information that I have. I'm sorry. This information I have about myself. I'm a doctor of pharmacy, founder of functional medicine consulting practice, Real Health Solutions. I created a digestive solution program for Crohn's and colitis. I'm a mom of 3 boys. I work with clients locally and even outside. I'm sorry. I didn't realize this was in a ring. I help people with digestion problem, inflammatory symptoms. I help them to get their energy and restore the immune system. I do want for those that are going to listen later, or for those that are listening today, I do want to offer, since as a token of appreciation for listening to my story and my solutions, I want to offer a free strategy session. If you are interested, you could call the office and schedule. We could schedule the time, or you could simply email and we could speak and figure out solutions for you. And if you having, I'm also coming out with a book that is for Crohn's and colitis. I don't have a title yet. It's coming out in March. I would love to get you a free copy. Just write, if you're interested, write me an email to that same address. And again, I'm not going to open for question and answer because it's really personal, and we have HIPAA protected medical information that really should be discussed between on a strategy session, one-to-one. So that opportunity you have after listening to my talk. I do appreciate everyone that joined me today, and I'm going to end this call in a minute. Unless it's something, raise your hand if you have something super urgent that is not personally related. Okay, so I don't have that. I thank you again, and we will speak soon. I'm going to end the meeting right now.